Welcome to the educational part of our presentation. We look forward to sharing this time with you. Take copious notes. Enjoy!
Power to make it happen has been sleeping inside you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and get started. Hopefully everyone had a chance to spend some quality time with your family because, again, at the end of the day, that's really what it's all about. I mean, why we do what we do so that we can enjoy time, not having to worry about things that most people have to worry about. And let's talk about 2026 because the two in the chat, if you want 2026 to be better than what your 2025 was, we're going to talk about some things today, and hopefully you guys are in a position where you can take some copious notes. We're going to talk about what I've done, some other successful people I see. We have my man, Mr. Ron Austin, on there, who's also an executive goal. This gentleman built one of the largest organizations in the fastest time because you put in the work and you attract the right kind of leaders. Within 4 years' time, to have over 20,000 people contributing to your income. 4 years' time, having to go from scratch. Now, I'm not talking about bringing a large organization over from another company. I'm not talking about bringing in top leaders from other companies, which, again, there's nothing wrong with that. But to take people that had never made six figures before and to be able to help 15, 20 of them in the first year make over 100,000 that had never made over 100,000 before. There's nothing short of a miracle. So definitely hats off. One of the biggest builders I've ever had the pleasure of working with, Mr. Ron Austin. And so we're going to talk about some of the things he's done, some of the things we've done. Now it's 22nd year of network marketing. How do we not just set a goal, but also reach a goal? First thing I want you guys to write down. I've listened to many tapes. I've been to seminars with Mr. Tony Robbins, and he talks about what makes a successful entrepreneur. And one of the things he talks about in there is that 80% will and 20% skill. You wonder why individuals like myself, like Mr. Ron Austin, have been able to create six figures for multiple years in our 20 plus years in this space is that what we do, every last one of you on this Zoom can do. What separates the six-figure earners, seven-figure, and eight-figure year earners in network marketing is that they have a stronger will and they are consistent and persistent to getting to their goals and dreams. They are laser focused and they don't let anything get in the way of getting to their goals and dreams. Once they set a goal, they don't let anything get in the way. And so I'm going to talk about a few things, and Mr. Ron Austin, if you're in a position to do so, I'll leave the latter part of the training if you want to share some things. I know you always have some nuggets, there. I'm going to share some things that if you're consistent and you're persistent, your 2026 will be far greater than your 2025. I'm going to talk about, because they've changed this year, every year for the last 5 years, our international convention has been in May. This year is going to be in March. And that's going to be the biggest one we've ever had because that's going to be project number 10. It's going to be the 10-year anniversary. We won't be quite at 10 years. We'll be like at 9.5 years. But that'll be the 10-year anniversary. And for those of you who may not know, 90% of the companies that start out in network marketing never make it 10 years. And they've done combined over $1 billion in revenue. That's nothing short of amazing. So just want you guys to understand it's definitely a solid company, and that if you put your head down and go to work, not only can you create full-time and even six-figure and seven-figure income for yourself, you can also create what we call legacy income. You can put something in place because this business is willable and sellable. You can put something in place that you can pass it on to future generations. Project 1,000, Project 5,000, Project 10,000. The most successful one we did was back in 2022. We had Project 10,000, and we ended up adding 11,440 people were added to our team in 90 days. So it'll be probably sometime in February going into March. But we'll do a 31-day cruise because we don't have the 90-day window that we normally have. So I'm excited about the 31-day cruise. Very few of you are consistent throughout 90 days. But most of you, I would say at least half of you that are on this Zoom right now, do you need to always be honing your skills 100%? Every day I focus on getting at least 1% better than I was yesterday. The reason why recruiting is a lot easier now because I'm constantly honing my skill. The reason building a team is much easier now because every year, every day I focus on honing my skills. And so the reason I always love a 90-a-day blitz, a 30-day blitz, 60-day blitz, or whatever, because when I went to Eric Juarez GoPro Recruiting Mastery back in 2013, 2014, that was my first time ever making over 50,000 a month in my second network marketing company. And so I took a group of 31 year and a group of 21 year to go to Vegas for 4 days to learn from people that were making $1 million a year plus in that network market. Not $1 million cumulative, because there's a few dozen of us that have made well over $1 million since 7K started. Okay, but we're talking about learning from individuals that were making over $1 million a year. So we took 31 years in 2013 in my second company, and we took 20 the following year to learn from people. That was over 500 people there in different network marketing companies that were making over $1 million a year. So I want to know what were they doing so that I could do the same. They said to get to just six figures, they all did at least one 90-day blitz in their company. But they say to get to seven figures, they all had to do at least three 90-day blitzes within a amount of a couple of years. What will happen for those of you who participate and for those of you who sacrifice on this 31-day blitz that we're going to talk about, and we'll give you the dates in the next couple of weeks, on this 31-day blitz, what will happen for you? You're going to get a chance to experience three different laws in that 31-day blitz. The first law that you're going to get a chance to experience, I call that the law of the farm. Okay, the law of the farm. And the law of the farm basically states every deed is a seed. Okay, yeah, I might not have picked them the right way. I might not have presented the right way. But every time I'm doing something like that, or every time I'm doing what is called income producing activity, that's seed. Every deed is a seed. That means that seed will grow. The deal is for 31 days, what I want you to accomplish, what different leaders want you to accomplish in that 31 days, you develop the right kind of habit. The reason why we do 31 days, the reason why we do 60, 90 days, because we want you to develop the right kind of habit. If you do that for 31 days, then it becomes like it's second nature to you. You can do that over and over again. But that's what happens for you. That's why some people, they can recruit just like it's breathing. If you've ever been out at a restaurant with top leaders that have recruited, it's an easy conversation. Don't even look like they're trying to recruit. They just have a conversation with the waiter. They just have a conversation with somebody at the next table. And the next thing you know, they're enrolled in the business. Develop that skill over 6 days and 90 days. So the first thing you're going to experience, if you're going out there consistently doing it, every single day, I don't care if it's 16 hours a day like myself, 8 hours a day, 4 hours a day, whatever the case may be, if you're doing that consistently every day for 6 days a week for that 31 days, you got to recognize that every deed will be a seed, okay? You will reap the reward. You'll experience the law of sowing and reaping. Every deed is a seed. That's the second law you're going to experience. The law of averages says this. If I do X number of people, if I do X number of presentations, it will equal to X number of sign-ups. The law of average. If you can hit the ball 3 out of 10, that means you fail 70% of the time. If you can hit that baseball, put the ball in play, get on base 3 out of 10 times, they'll pay you $5 million a year. You fail 70% of the time. In network marketing, the best of the best, I always focus on better than my best. They told me when I first came on board, you got to be coachable and teachable. So when I first joined my first company, they said then you need to sign up at least 3 people that will come in to build a business and help them get at least 8 customers. They said the best way to do that is have a home meeting. Invite 20 plus people. I invited 30 people to my home. 21 of them showed up. 14 of them signed up. I didn't do now presentation. I was good at inviting people there. It was 3 months into my first company before I ever did a presentation. But my team was growing because I was putting people in front of the information. I was real good at exposing people. We had weekly meetings every week when I was off, making sure you have so many people on that deal, you're going to win. Now, do I want to have more presenters 100%? Because you're going to have leaders that know how to close. Just know that every deed is a seed. Every peak is not wasted. Every presentation, every invite is not wasted. Going on a 10th year of being in business that's solid, that checks all the boxes that people are looking at. 90% of the companies, since the history of network marketing over the last 80 plus years, 90% of companies that start out, so if I play with the bigger numbers, faster, this time, if he's ready, and I know he's always ready, I'm going to introduce a brother that I have the utmost respect for. Actually earned millions in this space of home-based business and network marketing. And he did something that 95% of the people that come into this space will never do, meaning in his first opportunity. Most people don't have success until their second, third opportunity. In his first opportunity, I mean, he knocked it out of the park, and he was able to earn over $3 million in the 7.5 years he was with that company. He's gone on to earn millions, but more importantly, ladies and gentlemen, he's helped hundreds of individuals earn a six-figure income, and he's helped thousands earn a couple thousand a month. So if anybody can show you how to create momentum and earn income in this business, I don't think there's anybody better than top producing executive gold, my friend, Mr. Ron Austin. Take it away, sir.
All right, Brother Hubbard, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, fantastic. I promise I won't keep them long. I have a little bit about my man Tony Hubbard over there. You know, nobody's better. That's all you can say is nobody's better. This guy's been around. He does his thing. And, you know, I think Tony has learned the word where he talks about giving. Many have given. That's Tony. So when I first got into this business, for those who don't know, I was in network marketing for a long time, but network marketing became real rocky. There were some companies out here that weren't as solid as they said they were. I always tell people, and it was funny, a lady asked me the other day, she said, "Why did you leave Melaleuca?" I said, that was probably one of the dumbest things I've ever did in my life, right? Because Melaleuca was founded in 1985 and it's still around today. But the blessing of it is the fact that here it is, the same owner who owned Melaleuca is the owner over here with 7K Metals, Roger Ball. My wife had told me years ago that you're done with network marketing because there were no solid businesses out here. And then she came to me because she saw that I looked like a little puppy because I was good at it, right? And she says, well, if you find a company like Melaleuca, you can get back into network marketing. And we found that company in 7K Metals. But I needed some teaching, some tutelage when I got involved with 7K Metals, and that was Mr. Tony Hubbard. So when I look at my pathway, Tony, and I laugh because some of you guys jump on a call, right? Some of you guys jump on a call, you jump on a Zoom. But I can remember when I first got into this business, I jumped in my car and drove to the airport and went from the airport to Houston. From Houston, I went to Dallas to sit down and talk to Tony. Because one of the first questions I asked Tony was, how much money are you making in this business called 7K Metals? And he told me he was a gold associate at the time and he was making $7,000 a week. And that was good. Then I asked him, I said, are you a product of your product? And he told me that he was. I said, well, how much of this stuff do you own? He said about $350,000 worth of gold and silver. I said, where's that paperwork at? Let me sign up. Because people, that meant a lot to me. Because I read the book that many of you guys read, and that was, a righteous man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. And Tony has said that many of times, and I listened to it. So I know I was on the right path when this guy touched the same pathways that I did, and that was the kingdom building, helping people build and working. And, you're going to make money in the same turn of helping people build. So I think I take my hat off to you, Tony. That's what I wanted to say more than anything. I took a long way to get there, but I want to thank Tony for everything that he's done for not just me, but people in 7K Metals. He talked about how many people I've helped. Man, you got to understand how many this joker helped, right? He's gonna put it in. People who have never made money in network marketing, Tony puts it on them. Well, hey, I'm just going to take a little bit of time, but first of all, I want to thank you so much. The kind words. For those who don't know, Tony's the man, in and out. We don't just talk about what he does at 7K Metals. We talk about how he lives his life every single. Real quick, Tony talked about 10 years being consistent to win. Not just now, there are people who play golf just to play golf, right? There are people who just play golf to golf, and that's okay. If you want to be good, you find somebody like Tony Hubbard who has done it. Find a mentor, somebody who has already done it. Because one thing I've learned in my life, even in sports, is the fact that somebody can't tell you what they haven't done. If they have never done it, they can't tell you how to do it. Honestly, they can pretty much tell you, but they really can't put any velocity behind what they're telling you. So find somebody who's already done it. That most of those people will come back to you and tell you to take a lesson. The lesson that we're talking about is what we're doing right here on a Saturday afternoon. And that's, a lot of people could be doing anything. 2 days after Christmas, you guys could be taking gifts. You could be doing anything right now, but you're on these. Many of the times in golf, And most of these people have always told me, mentors told me, Ron, let the club do the work. And, and I kept doing hitting the ball. They said, you're trying to hit the ball too hard. Let the club do the work. Now, how do I relate that to network? Many of you guys, ladies, go out here and you try to recruit people who have already been in the game, years, been successful, and you're thinking to yourself, man, if I could just get that person to come over to my business, man, that could make me a whole bunch of money. Newsflash, that doesn't happen. So what Tone was talking about, the recruiting, if you just went out here and said, you know what, I don't care who I talk to, I'm just going to go out here and make an honest commitment to talk to 10 to 20 people every single day and get those people in my circle, and then go home and evaluate what you did through that day. Because a lot of what you do throughout the day is going to be dependable on your result. So for me to go out here and try to talk to somebody about 7K medals and I don't know anything about 7K medals, I'm going to fail. So get good at hitting the ball, right? So when we talk about hitting the ball, is this. Get good at putting people like Tony Hubbard on a call with your prospect. Get good at putting Joseph Ladden on a call with your prospects. They've been in the game. They understand what they're talking about. They can answer the questions that person makes. What I'm going to do is get good at getting good at doing that. I'm going to find a way to excite somebody, to get them to want to know more information. And then I'm going to get good at announcing and telling people how great Tony Hubbard is, or how good Joseph Ladden is, or any of the good leaders on these calls. I'm going to get good at telling these people how good that person is, and then I'm going to shut up. We used to call that PS3, piquing somebody's interest, showing the plan, and do a three-way call. If you guys can just get good at that. Now, you're probably saying, Ryan, you're saying, no, people, trust me. Everything that Tony talked about today, I wrote it down. I wrote it down because I'm going to do it again. I'm starting over from zero. Every year, Tony and I do the same exact thing. We start at zero. I don't care what I did yesterday. 2026, I'm going to be a brand new person in 7K medals. And I'm going to build my business all over again. And Tony talked about that 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. People, you got to start saying to yourself, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. This is what I'm going to do. But don't start saying, well, I'm already a gold associate or a copper or a silver. No, start out brand new and put one person on your left and one person on your right. And I don't know if Tony allowed me to say this, but we always said this is within the first 12 to 24 hours. So here comes January 1st. I'm going to try to sponsor somebody on my right side, left side before the first 48 hours. And then within the first 72 hours, I'm going to help them do the exact same thing. And I'm going to carry that on. And people, what Tony was talking about, eluding you and your success, if you just keep consistently being consistent, I think that's a lot of problem that people have. People, you can't do it one day and the next day don't do it. You can't do it for 2 days. It's just like going on a diet. That's another thing I do every year. I go on a clean the system out. And I'm going to do that this year. But I start out doing the hard thing first. I go on a 3-day fast. Don't eat anything. People, guess what? I'm going to do the same thing in this business. Come January 2nd, I'm going to do a 3-day fast that all I'm going to do is go out here. I don't give a care if I go to Panera Bread, Walmart. I don't care. I don't care what I say. I'm just going to make a fool of myself and go out here and try to talk to as many people as I can. And I didn't say talk to people about 7K medals because, again, I'm not going to shove the spoon down their throat. I just need to get to know at least 120 people. Tone said it, the law of averages, people. If you go out here between now and the end of or the middle of January, and you go out here and find 120 new people that you have never talked to, and you don't have to talk to about 7K medal. Just go out here and find 120 new people to put on your contact list. 120 people. Tony told you. 1 out of 10. They're going to ask you the question. So if you don't mind me asking, what do you do for a living? They're going to ask you what you do for a living, but you got to have the answer. And the answer is what? You got to have the answer because they're going to ask you, what do you do? If you say, I work for a gas company, guess what? They're going to take that as what you're telling them. But if you told them that you teach people how to become successful, they're going to say, I want to be successful. They may say, I don't want to be successful. And again, if they say they don't want to become successful, guess what? That's okay. That's where they are right now. But if somebody says, hey, I would like to be successful, then I can hit them with the fact of, hey, do you ever buy gold and silver? And they can say, yeah or no. Then and it kind of narrows it up. Before the end of the day, people, you have the people that you really need to sit down and. So, people, these are the nuggets that I'm telling you because this is what I'm going to do. I'm not trying to tell somebody to do something I'm not going to do because I've seen the answer to all the situations is if you put the time in, you truthfully will get it back. I have never seen, and Tony can give me the thumbs up and thumbs down, I have never seen anyone get into a network marketing business and not apply their time and their energy and not become successful. I'm going to say it again, never have seen it. I'm going to say, let's go back and evaluate what you've been doing day to day. When Tony sits there and says, hey, I'm putting in 16 hours, and you're probably sitting there saying to yourself right now, shoot, 16 hours a day? That's not me. But here's my point. Ask yourself, honestly, why you're doing it. Is it because of great Christmas? Man, I had so many people in my house for Christmas. I mean, sometimes because they know that. And some of you guys have to understand, whatever you did 120 days is what you're going to reflect today. So you can't go out today and figure, okay, I'm going to put in 10 hours this week and automatically I'm going to get paid. No, that's not how this works. You got to put it in, and you got to put it in before. Just again, people, it's just like golf. It's just like weight loss. I don't know anybody who went out here and stopped eating for a whole week and lost 20 pounds. It's not going to happen. But over time, if you consistently do it, no bread, not eating late, over time, people, you're going to lose weight. I don't give a care what anybody says. You're going to lose weight. And if that's your goal, to lose weight, there's the recipe. And if you say to yourself, I want to make money in network marketing, people, guess what? Being consistently consistent is what wins the game. Now, well, Ron, I don't know how to do a presentation. That's not the answer. Put them on a call with Tony or Joe. Joe does a fantastic presentation. I'm pretty sure if you call Joe and say, hey, Joe, I got these two people that they want to hear a presentation. That's what makes this company so great. There are people who are willing to help you build your business. And if you're like myself, you're like Tone, I see some other people sharing. If you're like some of these, Teresa, been in the business for a long time, people, guess what? All you got to do is simply say to yourself, I want to start all over again. That's the great part about this. I want to start all over again. And where do I want to see myself in 90, 120 days, 6 months? Where do you want to be? And if you consistently can be consistent, it works. Because if you start saying to yourself, I'm going to put a dollar value behind it. I know at the first of the year, people always talk about getting out of debt, paying off some of their bills. People, this is the greatest plan in the world to pay off some of your bills. If you can make an extra $2,000 a month and put that towards your bills, people, you can pay $24,000 in 2026 to get yourself out of debt. If you say to yourself, I need more, guess what? Apply yourself a little bit more. There are people out here right now who want the exact same thing that you, but if you're not doing it, they're not going to do it. So you got to listen to the 90-day blitz, the 31-day blitz. But at the 31-day blitz, I see people do this all the time. They say, I'm going to go on a diet January 1st. I'm going to eat everything in the world before January. No, that's not the answer. The answer of it is keep doing what you're doing. But maybe right now I'm going to lay back a little bit. Maybe I'm not going to eat as many cookies. Oh, man. And for whatever reason this year, I don't know what it is, people, but people have been bringing cookies over my house over and over and over again. And it's like tempting to me every day that I walk through that kitchen. But I love being in the situation that I'm in, to be able to pick up a phone and call a Tony Hubbard and say, hey, man, I don't need you to give me the rooter to the tutor. All I need you to do is make me be consistently consistent. That is the king of, if you ever want to know why Tony's as successful as he is, 8 o'clock in the morning, he does his calls. He does presentations every day. He's been doing this for the last 10 years plus. So you can't tell me it doesn't work. He ain't the tallest. I don't think he ever dunked a basketball, but he ain't the tallest. But I'm going to tell you what, I'm telling you, he's consistently consistent. And if you're smart, all you simply say is, I got this rope, Tone. I'm going to tie this rope, and I'm going to ask you to help me out. I want to run for the next 90 days, and then I'm going to reevaluate it. But when you're running, you're asking him the question, what am I doing wrong? What should I have done? Who can I talk to? Where should I be? That's what a leader or accountability partner is. But that accountability partner is that same person that there's sometimes that I don't feel like going to the gym, but if I had a partner, he'd call me up and say, hey, Ron, listen, well, where you at yesterday? That's what an accountability partner is. People, if you find that and you latch onto what Tony's doing, you latch on the calls, you latch onto the training, you set yourself some goals, call Tony up and say, hey, listen, Tony, hey, can you give me a half an hour tomorrow? I want to put together some goals that I need, that I think I can reach, but I need some help. Just do it for you. And that's the key if you want to be successful in 7K Metal. If you want to be successful in your marriage, you do the same thing. If you want to be successful in weight, you want to be successful in golf. It's the same exact thing, people. Cookie cutter. So I'm going to leave you with that. The clue to this whole thing is setting goals and obtaining those goals, short goals, every single day. Write it out. This is what I'm going to do. Do it. This is what I'm going to do, and do it. And stop putting the fear to it. I used to get up and go to Walmart. And when I would say I go to Walmart just to get groceries for the family, I said, while I'm in Walmart, I'm going to make sure I talk to 5 people. I didn't talk to about 7K Metals. I didn't talk to about networking. I said, I'm going to talk to 5 people. I have to get good at getting inside somebody's circle. That's the key to this thing. So people, I don't want to take a lot of your time. Hopefully you guys got some nuggets out of this. Hopefully you apply the nuggets to your business and you keep running. One of the things that I've always said about Tony's trainings and presentations, people, they're awesome. One of the things, my wife don't listen to too much about what I say. We talk about that later. But one of the things that she knows that I'm dead right serious about is that I got grandkids in this house. But when it comes down to Tony Hubbard doing a presentation or a training, I've never heard, I tell the kids stop running through the house and she don't tell them. But when it comes down to when Tony Hubbard does a training, I wouldn't do that if y'all. I think y'all better go sit down, because if you pop off about him in there doing his presentation, his training, listen to getting the nuggets, he gonna get mad. But people, you got to do the same thing. You got to commit to saying, I'm going to be on the call, taking notes every Saturday, every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, when you do the presentation. I'm going to be on every last one of those calls. And then at the end of the night, I'm going to ask yourself the question. If you don't do it, what did you trade for? It'll amaze you. What did you trade? What did you put over learning how to make $6,000, $7,000 a week? So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you guys. Let me share a little bit. This comes off hip. To Tony know I was sitting there with my notebook. I'm taking notes. I didn't get out here to talk, but been around this guy for a long time. Love him dearly. You know, he's a good dude. Good dude. You guys, he wants more for you guys, and you sometimes want it for yourself. He does. He wants you to win. And when you got somebody steering the ship that wants you to win, people, the way you pay him back is jump right in that ship right with him. So, Tone, I thank you so much. I know everybody got to go, man, but I appreciate your time, sir.
I appreciate you, man. As always, Ron. You always got some nuggets, man. And again, I mean, I just love your style. You see why this guy, as a professional athlete, not very many people that get a chance to live that dream to play on a professional level. I mean, this guy was not only good in high school, and there was a lot of folk that are good in high school, but he was also good in college. There's thousands of folk that are good in college and never make it to the pros. This guy made it all the way to the pros and played 4 years in the NFL, man. So again, but you see that same determination he brings to his network marketing business, and that's why he's had the phenomenal success. So, man, hats off to you, Ron, man. Looking forward to running hard with you again in 2026, man. It's going to be a party, man. It's going to be a party.
It's going to be something. Thank you.
I appreciate it, man. So, again, we're going to wrap it up, ladies and gentlemen, because I know a lot of you still got spending time with your family and stuff, and we definitely want to respect that. But someone had asked me about some simple things as far as closing is concerned. And I'm just going to share with you a couple of things. I wanted you to really focus on exposing more people to the business and inviting more people to the deal. One of the scripts that you can share with individuals, say, listen, I'm in a 31-day contest, and in order for me to win, I have to have at least 30 guests over the next 31 days that'll get on the presentation. Could you do me a favor and just be one of them? Something really, really simple. I'm in a 31-day contest. I mean, and could you do me a favor and just be one of my guests on this presentation over the next 31 days? So each and every one of you should set a goal. If I expose 50 people to that deal, and if I expose 100 people to that deal, I'm gonna win. I'm gonna win. And for those of you that are willing to do that, I mean, here's my promise to you. You're going to walk the stage for something. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, it's very few feelings that are greater than walking the stage because of your accomplishment. And not only for what it does for you, but what it does for your team. When your team see, okay, you walking the stage and stuff because you sacrificed and you were consistent and you did what you had to do, set a goal. Like I said, I'm going to expose at least 100 people during that 31 days. Personally, I'm going to expose at least 200 people. during that 31 days. I'm going to be calling through my list of people that I already have. I'm going to go and revisit some folks. I'm going to go back and talk to some folks that said no 2 years ago, that said no 5 years ago. I'm giving you the answers to the test. I'll say go do 200. But again, because like in the 9+ years we've been in 7K, we recruited, and I've talked to the co-founders about this, and by far, we recruited more people than anybody in the company. It's over 530. Okay, and I tell people, all it means I've had way more no's than you, and I've gotten real good at putting people through a process. I mean, I understand the name of the game is to expose you. I'm exposing people on a daily basis. But one of the things on that, and one of the things as I've had a lot of success with, is going back to some of the people that I talked to a year ago, going back to some of the people I talked to 2 years ago, going back to some of the people I talked to 5 years, because you guys know Scott Zuck, okay? I talked to him 9 years ago when the company started, because he was one of my top leaders in my first gold and silver company. At the time, it wasn't 12 o'clock in his life. He said no. A year and a half later, had a conversation with him again, respectfully said no. 2 years after that, again, respectfully said no. And he didn't come on board until 2021, December of 2021, when we had a presentation there in Utah, okay? And we were doing a lunch. What I did not know, that things had changed in his life. I didn't know that this guy was making millions from the stage, being one of the speakers for Robert Kiyosaki and things of that nature. But during the pandemic, all that dried up. And he lived off of his savings for a whole year. But he got tired of just sitting around the house not doing anything. And then when I reapproached him again and said, hey, listen, we're going to be in your backyard. We're going to be in Salt Lake. So do me a favor, come out and meet the guys, man. I mean, I'm telling you, it's nothing like anything you've ever saw. Come out and meet the guys. Do me a favor, be my guest. And he came out, he signed up. Within 90 days, he was a silver. Within 120 days, he was a gold associate. It took me to executive gold. Again, what if I would have given up? Because he said no 9 years ago. Because he said no 7 years ago. But after 5 years, he finally said yes. All right? So one of the things, there's a book I bought last year. It's called Life is in the Transitions. And in that book, it said every 12 to 18 months, the average adult has at least one life-altering event that takes place in their life. Every 12 to 18 months. Every adult has at least one life-altering event that happens in their life. And that's why I'm always encouraged to go back to people, because I don't know what has happened since the last year we talked. I don't know what has happened since the last 2 years we talked. So I have no problem. Because for those of you that go gamble in Vegas, they call it house money. I'm playing with house money. They already said no, so the worst thing they can say is no again. I ain't lost nothing. But what if they say yes? What if it's 12 o'clock in their life? And because I went back to that person, now I got someone that hit silver in less than 90 days. He said, how much was silver when I started? When I got started in 7K, silver was $17 an ounce. I ran into a guy at a water tree. I was going to buy some alkaline water for my family. And I ran into a guy that was on my team in my first gold and silver. I had never met him. He was from Colorado. He just happened to be in town. And I had a shirt on that had my name on there. And this was weird because I never had this happen before. That guy said, are you the Tony Hubbard? I said, I don't know. He looked at, did I do something wrong? The warrant out. I mean, what? And then he said, "Are you the guy that was the top leader in preservation of wealth and stuff? The gold and silver company." I said, "Absolutely." And he said that I was on your team in that company. We had never met. We're going to talk about it. And he said, "Listen, I've been out of Livermore, but I love gold and silver." I said, "Well, listen, let's connect." I reconnected with him and got his information and stuff. And I had a silver eagle on, and I gave it to him. I said, "Hey, listen, I'm gonna start off your new collection and stuff." And then the honor me afterwards, I gave that guy $75. Because silver's like 60 something at that time, but Silver Eagle's a little bit more, but now it's over $80 an ounce, And so that just shows you that, again, one of the best decisions I ever made was being a part of this company, because myself, LaRon, and several of us have made well over $1 million plus since we've been on board with the company. We got something to show for it, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, think about it. people that never market, have been in never market a long time. You hear them badmouth people that's been in corporate America 10 years, 20 years. Here's my argument. At least they got something to show for it. They got a pension. They got a 401k. But I've run into countless people in never marketing that have made money, health and wellness, service, whatever, but they have nothing to show for it. The beautiful thing, that's why I don't hesitate introducing as many people I want to this company, is that, if you don't do nothing but collect, over a year, 2 years time, you got something to show for. Myself, Mr. Joseph Lyden, Chris, there's probably a few hundred of us that have hundreds of thousands of dollars in gold and silver because we said yes 8 years ago, 9 years ago. That's our pitch. We got hundreds of thousands of dollars. There's several of us got over $500,000 in gold and silver. The reason why because I'm in the gold and silver business, and I never know when the situation presents itself, if they may ask about gold and silver, and I put it in their hand because it gives them the goosebump experience. And I'll give you a story. What I did for years in 7K was, if I personally sponsored somebody and they was in another city, another state, I like sending them their first coin. And so I was going to the post office on a monthly basis, mailing out coins. And the lady that was at the front desk, she asked me, said, what are you shipping out? I said, well, I'm shipping out gold and silver coins and stuff, And she thought, my real? I said, yeah. And so what I did, I pulled out like 3 coins and I put it in her hand. And she said, I got goosebumps. And she said, I used to collect these, my parents and stuff like that. And then we got to talking and she gave them back and I gave her my card. And then when I finished the transaction, right before I left, she said, I still got goosebumps. So one of the reasons why I keep silver on me all the time, because I want to give folks goosebumps. Okay, I want to give them goosebumps. Because I would say if 11% of the population in America owns physical gold and silver, that means 9 out of 10 people that you run into have never bought it. So I keep that on me. Again, this is a recruiting thing. This allows me to recruit more people than most. I keep it on me because when you put that silver in people's hands and they just feel the weight of it, they know that's something special right there. And they curious to find out more about it. And you're talking about real money. And now that we can talk about it went from $15 an ounce to now $80 an ounce. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. That was one of the things you can do to encourage folks for the 31 deal. Hey, listen, I'm in a contest. And in order for me to win, I got to invite so many people. Would you do me a favor and be one of my guests? And then another thing, for those of you who are looking at building and bringing on leaders, you said, listen, I'm in the process of identifying 5 leaders. So if you're a big builder, I'm in the process of identifying 10 leaders over the next 31 days. I'm going to help them create $1,000 a month income. Can you do me a favor and be one of my guests tonight and see whether or not this is a good fit? Because I'm in the process. I'm going to help at least 10 people make at least another $1,000 over the next 30 days. Could you do me a favor? Get on the Zoom and see whether or not this is going to be a good fit for you. Because I'm going to help 10 people make an extra $1,000 over the next 31 days. So I'm just sharing with you guys some of the things that I do during these contests to get people on that Zoom. All I want you to do is take a look at it. If you take a look at it and stuff, I like my chances. Okay? I like my chances.
So why wouldn't you tell them you're going to help them make $7,000? Why would you say, hey, I'm going to help you make $7,000 over the next 30 days?
For those that I have that conversation as well. I'm just saying for the general public, if you've never made $7,000, you can't help it. But
right.
I can say that. Ron can say that. Hey, I'm looking for a handful of folks. I'm going to help get the $7,000 a week over the next 30 days.
Yeah, I was saying that because a lot of the time when people say, I'm going to help you make all this money, a lot of people have never made in 30 days $1,000, and they think that that's a scam when you're trying to tell them that. So you saying $1,000 makes a lot more sense.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can relate to that,
Yes. Because
most people can't relate to $7,000 a week.
Right.
Most people can't relate to $7,000 a month. But if I talk about an extra $1,000 a month, most of that's in their wheelhouse right there. And so that's why, again, that appeals to the masses. I got another 9 minutes before we close it out. So I'm going to open up the floor for Q&A. So has anybody got any questions, comments, attitudes, takeaway for myself or Mr. Ron Austin? Here's the time. I'm going to unmute everybody. The floor is yours. I see my sister, Miss Sherry Sullivan. Always good to see you. I remember when she first came through, she was in a group that I think like 6 or 7 of them all got the 100-ounce silver bar. She hit silver, ladies and gentlemen, in less than 30 days. And now, when she won the silver bar back in 2021, it was about $2,000. And now, that silver bar is worth over $8,000. $8,000.
It's incredible, Tony. Hey, Ron, it was great seeing you. Thanks for the kind words, and I always love your training. Tony, great job with the training. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Joe.
If folks get in a financial bind, most people, $8,000 can get them out of there.
Mm-hmm.
So you got $8,000 of something you won. When Sherry won silver was like maybe $25 an ounce, maybe then?
Yeah.
In 2021?
Wasn't it free?
I mean, now it's free for her, I'm saying, but silver was like $25 an ounce. So she won like $2,500 bar. And now that same bar, without doing anything to it, is worth over $8,000. Matter of fact, Joe, you probably looking at it online right now. What is a 100-ounce silver bar selling for with APMEX and JM Bullion?
Yeah, they're right around 81 to 82. It's incredible, the increase.
It's a beautiful thing.
You know, Joe, that's one of the things that I've been doing as of late. You know, I tell people, I say, hey, when I first got into 7K and I tried to introduce you to this business, gold and silver was at the price of, $17, $18 an ounce. And I said, today it's like $71, $75 an ounce. I said, no, can I get some of your time? I mean, but you're going to wait for it to go up to $140 an ounce for me to talk to you about this, And most of the people, and I know you started your conversation out with this, most of the people were shocked because they say, you still in 7K metals? You still in 7K metals? And I tell people all the time, 7K metals was not one of the things that I chose because it was one of those things. Tony and I, we sat down many of days and said the same thing. We're in this business because it's the right business to be in. We're not talking about the coffee business. We're not talking about the tea business. We're not talking about any of those businesses. We're talking about, man, I don't know, a lot of new people on this call who've never ever heard the story. When I first met Tone, what sold the deal for me to get into this business was I said, man, are you a product of your product? Remember that? I said, are you a product of your product? And Tone said, yeah. I said, okay, how much of this gold and silver stuff do you own? After you had been in the business a little short of 3 years when I first met you, right? And Tone said, I got over $350,000 worth of gold and silver. When he say what he made, he says, I have in my presence $350,000 worth of gold and silver. Joe probably has the same thing, but people, you guys got to understand. You show me a sidebar, whatever. You show me a business out here today. I know people who've been in the coffee business for 10 years. If the coffee business lasts that long, they don't have anything to show for it. I have friends who have come over my house through the holidays. They had got into 7K metals when I first got in. And, they come up to me and say, man, you're still in that business? I said, yeah, man, we need to talk on January 1st because guess why? The coins that they had back that they bought, remember that time when you signed up, you got a coin. The coins that they were getting then in the autosaver are probably 3 or 4 times what they paid for it. They haven't lost any money. They haven't lost anything. So people, you got to look at it. And that's what makes me say, man, we got the best thing going. There's nothing out there better than what we're doing right now. So let's make it fun. Ask the questions that you need to do. Don't be afraid to ask the questions that you need to ask to take your business to the next level if that's what you want to do. But I say it for the simple fact of is you can't ever have too much gold and silver, people. But you don't buy gold and you don't buy gold and silver. You transfer. So if you got $10,000, you can transfer it into what? Gold and silver. So my point to it is I need to make as much money as I can over the next 10 years that I can leave an inheritance to my grandkids, That's what kind of motivates me to go. But at the same time, I need some new golf clubs. No, I'm going to get.
Well, listen, ladies and gentlemen, again, it's a beautiful thing to know that you've heard me say it. And actually, Ron was one of the first ones I ever heard say it quite that way. That very rarely in the network market do you run across an opportunity where there's a win-win-win scenario and nobody gets hurt. You were one of the first ones I ever heard say that. Nobody gets hurt. Most of the time, there's a win-win-lose, a win-lose. Very rarely do you come across something. Everybody wins, nobody gets hurt. Here's what I mean by that. Like you say, you just want to be a customer. You're collecting gold and silver every month. If you're buying collectibles, at the end of the day, you got some write-offs and stuff to give it your tax professional. God forbid, if something happens to 7K a year from now, 2 years from now, you still have several $1,000s worth of assets. So you want, it ain't like you garage qualified and you got some stuff that turned green and you can't even give away. You got assets that if I need to, I can turn them in and get myself out of a jam. Like just say you want to come on board and you want to build a team and you hit associate cop or whatever. At the end of the day, you got several $1,000s of assets. You made a little money. And you got write-offs. So you want. And if you like myself and Ron, and that's been a few hundred people I know of in this company over the last 9+ years that have made 6 figures. So imagine making 6 figures, to have hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of assets now, and with the way silver and gold went up, there's probably several now that their collection is in the millions now. To have that kind of stuff, to have write-offs, everybody wins. Nobody gets hurt. I've seen friends that got involved in different network marketing companies, and his big leaders got him involved, and that company went bankrupt or whatever. They call them, they upset, they threaten, hey, I need to pay my mortgage, all that kind of stuff. But I've never gotten a phone call, not once, in 9+ years, of somebody that called me a year from now, 2 years now, they mad because I showed them 7K. All they got to do is open up their jewelry box, and they got $1,000s worth of assets. If they got a safe, they got hundreds of $1,000s worth of assets. Ain't nobody going to call me they mad because I showed them how to get gold and silver. So everybody wins, nobody gets hurt. Again, that's one of the things I'm passionate about, sharing this message, because I know that's what my mom's in here. My dad's in here. My wife, all my kids got their own account. Okay. I got dozens of relatives, that are in this business, and I ain't got none of them that call me and say, hey man, I got a garage full of this gold and silver. Ain't nobody mad, So just understand what you have your hands on. We'll be covering some things over the next couple of weeks about the 31-day blitz. But just know, if you're focused, if you're willing to pay the price, if you're willing to sacrifice, and you be consistent, I promise you're going to walk the stage, and your 2026 is going to be amazing. So I'll be available over the next couple of hours. You need 3 ways, whatever the case may be, to get you over the hump. We need to run a weekend special. Hey, you know what that is? Give me a call. We'll do what we got to do. But just understand, ladies and gentlemen, I'll leave you guys with one of my favorite motivational quotes, and it says, follow your dream wherever they may lead, and don't be distracted by less worthy deeds. Shelter it, nourish it, help it to grow. Let your heart hold it down deep where dreams go. Follow your dream and pursue it with haste. Life is too precious and too fleeting to waste. Be faithful, be loyal, and all your life through, the dream that you follow will keep coming true. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a stone cold fact. We have a better way. Now let's go out there and tell the world. Mr. Ron Austin, man, love you like a brother. Appreciate everything, man. And let's take this thing to another level. In 2026, let's make 7K Metals a household name. Everyone have a great evening. God bless. Take care.
Hello, this is Teresa. Thank you so much for watching the training or education. If you'd like to have more information, put info or more info in the comments section. Hope you have a lovely day, evening, or night. We love you. Bye.